Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. Before we begin, let me introduce some members of town government that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Martin Simon, town attorney, or counsel to the board and in the town attorney's office. To his left is Rachel Lenberger, counsel to the board. To her left is Blaise Donadio, senior planner in the planning department. To his left is Matt Mazzaros, planner in the planning department. To his left is Sabrina Butita. She's an environmental analyst with the Department of Environment and Waterways. You're here this evening seeking relief from the town zoning ordinance. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a board of appeals to act as a relief valve so that persons can seek relief without the expense of legal proceedings. The most common kinds of applications before this board are area variances. Area variances deal with dimensions of lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking reductions. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the following 5 criteria when evaluating variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, please do your best to address these 5 criteria. You don't have to remember them. The planning department has printed them and they're on the podium. So when you go up there, you'll see them. Number 1 is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. This board also has the authority to grant special exceptions, also known as a special use permit or conditional use permit. This is a use that is permitted by zoning, but under specific conditions designed to ensure compatibility with the surrounding area and the overall zoning plan. If all of the general and specific requirements are met, this board must approve the application. If they are not, this board must deny it, unless they ask for variances. At that point, the 5 considerations and balancing tests shall be applied. What is the balancing test? Statute requires that the board balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. The board shall grant the minimum variance it deems necessary and adequate, while at the same time preserving and protecting the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions that relate to the variances. Regarding procedures, cases will be called in the order that they were advertised. When your case is called, come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts to Mr. Donadio, unless you've already done so. And then the applicant will be given the opportunity to explain to the board why the variance is needed. Again, please address the 5 considerations. After the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. Please organize your thoughts and keep your remarks factual, related to the case, as well as the variances being sought. Then we'll ask the applicant to come back to the podium to address your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all hearings are closed, the board will review cases and decide some of them, and others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out about your case. The first is you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on the case tonight. The second way is to check the website after 11 a.m. tomorrow. And the third way is to wait and just be notified by mail. After the case is closed, no additional information or testimony can be submitted. We have any adjournments tonight? No, right?
No, we do not.
All right, well, let's go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda, case number 19310, Vincent Sirocco, 292 Old Willets Path, Smithtown. The location of the property is the northwest corner of Old Willets Path and Timbercroft Way. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 24 to 21 feet for a proposed 284 square foot first floor addition and proposed 1,015 square foot second floor addition, to increase the floor area of an accessory structure from 750 square feet to 1,080 square feet, to increase the maximum height of an accessory structure from 15 to 21 feet for a proposed 1,080 square foot detached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Can you give us your name and spell your last name?
Vincent Sirocco. Last name is S as in Sam, Iraco.
Want to tell us why you're here?
Sure. Excuse me for not knowing the proper etiquette for this. I've never done this before. So, so I'm requesting 3 variances for a renovation we're doing to my home. The first one was the side yard reduction from 24 feet to 21 feet. Regarding that, the house was built in 1956. Where it stands right now, it's already 21 feet from the property line. So essentially, we're looking to go up with the dormer and out the back with an extension. So that new addition would just continue from the existing wall that's already 21 feet from the property line. So that's the first variance. Second one would be the garage accessory building in the backyard. Right now, on the right side of my home, I have an attached garage to the house. That will be converted into living space. With that being said, I do collect classic cars. I need a place to store them. I think that a 36 by 30 garage would be sufficient for me. Having a parking lift in there as well, that's where I need the height addition. I need 20 feet 2 inches, but the variance is for 21 feet. As far as the 5 questions, I don't think it would be a detriment at all to the neighborhood. If anything, it would bring value. I think it'll look very nice. That the house was built in 1956, hasn't been touched on the outside since. The garage will be matching the renovation on the home. I don't believe that it would be feasible not to have the garage to that size. Like I said, I collect classic cars. And that's where the garage would be going. It's in the back right corner. Hello? It's in the back right corner of the yard where it's not really going to be seen by anyone in the neighborhood, in my opinion, anyway. Right behind me is my neighbor Dom. He has no problem with the garage being built there. I've spoken to him about this. There's something else I want to bring up. I have 3 Corvettes. I'm going to inherit a 1966 Corvette and a 1957 T-Bird soon, so these cars need to be stored somewhere. They can't be stored outside in the weather conditions. As far as the impact on the environmental conditions, I can't see it having any sort of effect on that. I'm not removing any sort of major trees or causing any sort of. There's going to be no plumbing or anything like that back there, and so that's my request for those 3 variances.
Okay, see if we have any questions. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thank you.
The only question I have, the height. So it's 21 feet, obviously, you stated that.
Yes.
It's clear, there's no rafters or anything?
So with the, I have a parking lift in the garage that I have right now. I don't have enough room up top. So basically, the architect is going to give me 12-foot walls to give me a 12-foot ceiling, just to make sure I have as much clearance as I can for the lift. As far as rafters, I'm not too sure construction-wise how that works, but the 12-foot wall would give me a 12-foot ceiling, which then, with the pitch of the roof, is why I need the 21 feet.
So we do see a lot of accessory garages, typically when it's in the rear yard, and I believe this is about 6 feet from the property line. Is that what the plan showed? 8 feet?
No, they meet their rear yard setback.
10 feet. When it's over height like that, it's more impacting on the neighbors because obviously it's taller. So I believe we're kind of somewhere 17, 18 feet is the max that we go on these. I don't know if that's something that your architect can modify. We try to stay consistent. Obviously if there was extenuating circumstances that, you had to have it For, like, in the past, we've had things like somebody had a boat that wouldn't fit. But obviously, if you have 12-foot walls and your lift works in 12 feet, that really doesn't affect the,
I assume with the size of the garage being so wide, that if I have a 12-foot ceiling, the pitch is going to be not the right pitch. This is the architect said I needed 21 feet.
okay. All right,
Also, I apologize, the neighbor that faces my side yard, so my yard is pitched, it goes down left to right. So if I wish I provided a better picture of it, but that back right corner is actually, my yard is sloped. So if it was higher than normal, it wouldn't, in my opinion, from the street, you wouldn't even notice that.
right,
Because it is significantly pitched on that side of the yard.
okay, all right. We'll discuss it. Anyone else have a question? Planning?
No, just comments about the height.
Sabrina?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the current application to enlarge the existing single-family dwelling requires approval from the Department of Health. We need this information in order to complete our environmental review. We have notified the applicant, therefore no decision will be made until we receive that information.
You understand what that is?
Yeah, I received the letter. Is that regarding the amount of rooms? And, okay, so, may I answer now?
Of course.
Okay. So, the dormer is going to have a master and an office. I wasn't sure if an office is considered a bedroom.
It is.
Okay, so, so what we plan on doing is on the floor that we have the 3 bedrooms now, the existing 3 bedrooms, we are going to have converted into 2 bedrooms. So that we'll have bedrooms on that floor, and then the bedroom in the,
But you're still adding one additional bedroom at the end of the day, technically?
yes, it's
So
gonna be
because
one.
of the house is built in 56, anything prior to 1973, the Department of Health has to review.
Okay,
So we're just following the guidelines.
okay,
So
no, I was
yeah.
under the impression it was 5 bedrooms.
It depends on when the house was constructed.
Okay,
So, because it was built before 1973, it has to go to health, and they have to review it and make sure your sanitary system is adequate.
okay,
But he just needs to apply to the health department.
Right, as
Just
long as we
apply,
say it.
and then we can make a decision.
Yeah,
okay,
yep. So hopefully your architect or expediter can help you with that.
okay,
If you have any questions, please give our department a call.
okay, you got it,
Thank you.
thank you.
And then we're just going to see if anyone has any questions. Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, case is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19312. Excuse me. Ramsey and Muriel Kamal, 146 Hayrick Lane, Comac. The location of the property, the west side of Hayrick Lane, 595 feet north of Scholar Lane. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the required front yard from 25% to 38% for an existing asphalt driveway and paver walkway.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening. Just state your name and spell your last name for the record,
Sure.
please.
My name is Ramsey Kamel. Last name is Kamel, and this is my wife.
Hi, Marae Kamel.
Want to tell us why you're here?
All right, well, thank you, thank you. So we respectfully request relief for to legalize a larger driveway in the front yard. And if I could provide some background, my wife and I moved to Comac back in, well, we purchased the house in 2018. We built it in 2020, really started in 2019. We have 2 kids, love the area. We mainly moved here for the school district. Both of our kids are on the autism spectrum. That was a primary driver for us. We fell in love with the town and the neighborhood, and we built the house from the ground up. As you can see, we invested quite a bit in the home. We began construction in late 2019, and the mason that performed all of the stonework that you see on the house, the front, the back, the driveway, is a personal friend of mine. And one of the reasons I selected him is he's a highly qualified individual, the licensed professional, and we have a long-term friendship. And knowing my kids, he recommended that it would be best to, when building the driveway, to make it large enough where the kids could be able to, instead of backing out of the driveway, to actually go towards, frontwards into the driveway. That was a primary driver for us to create the side there that you see, which unfortunately made us go over the pavement allowance. So it was just purely, the primary catalyst for it was purely for the kids and from a safety standpoint. I will say that while we were going through construction, we had no knowledge of that we were exceeding the limits at that time. And to add to that, this was in the middle of COVID, and it was a bit chaotic. It was really, really stressful on my wife and I, but we got through it. We got through it. In terms, aside from the coverage percentage, the home and the pavement respects the property setbacks and does not infringe on any easements or sidewalks. And in terms of stormwater management, the pavement was constructed with proper pitch and drainage, and we even installed 2 dry wells, which are 10 feet wide and 14 feet deep, and you can see those actually reflected right on the survey there. In terms of the neighborhood, we're friendly with our neighbors. We've communicated with them. As far as we know, there's no known issues from their perspective. And in terms of the neighborhood and aesthetics, it's a beautiful street, and we just felt that everything that we did really in terms of our build complements the street and the neighborhood. Even our next door neighbor is a brand new construction as well. And the pavement on the front keeps with the character of the area. Even the driveway design and the materials complement the home really well. Hopefully the pictures convey that. In addition, we invested heavily in landscape. You could see that all around the property, but specifically in the front yard. The driveway is lined with bushes and quite a bit of greenery, so it gives it a nice open feel as well. We also took the liberty just to, in preparation for this meeting, to look at prior BZA cases and, this board's approval of prior cases. And we've noticed, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, but if you'd like, I'm more than happy to give case numbers. But there were several cases that the variances were approved for front yard, very similar to front yard paving. In some cases, it went up to 25 from 25 to 45%, other cases 25 to 40, one case 25 to 50, and so on. And we completely understand that every case is different, and we respect that. We felt that based on our lot size, the house position, and the needs, that the configuration would be respectfully justified. Just on a final note, we value our home and community and respectfully ask for your approval. Thank you.
Anyone on the board like to be heard?
No, thank you.
Any complaints from neighbors on water pitches or water flowing on their properties?
I'm sorry.
Water pitching from the driveway, any neighbors complaining about?
None at all. There's no pooling of water. No neighbors have complained at all.
Anyone
Thank you.
else? Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19313, Shelby Cook, 111 New York Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property is the northeast corner of New York Avenue and Bowers Lane. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard setback on Bowers Lane from 40 feet to 39 feet, to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 33 feet for a proposed 298 square foot rear roof over.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, spell your last name.
Sure. Michael Jeffrion, last name is Geoffrion.
Do you have a power of attorney, Mike?
I'm here with the owners tonight.
Oh, then have
Yeah.
them come up first. if you would. Good evening.
Shelby Cook, C-O-O-K.
Would you like to speak on your behalf?
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry.
Decided.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. All right, all set. So I'm the contractor actually proposing
Oh,
the,
did you get the spelling on his last name? Okay.
I'm the contractor. I'm proposing to build the rear over roof at the home. We're proposing a 16 by 18 rear over roof. Because it's a non-conforming lot, the corner and existing house does not comply with the required setbacks for the zone. We're requesting to reduce the minimum required front yard setback on Bowers Lane, which is 40 feet to 39 feet, and the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 33 feet. Due to the lot size, any addition to this dwelling would require a variance, and the roof over will be attached to the dwelling. It's going to maintain the same setbacks and the same height of the existing dwelling. The architect has drawn that at an 8-foot raise off the back, so we shouldn't have any problems with that. It'll be within the setbacks of the property lines and will remain within the existing line of the dwelling. We don't see that there's going to be any issues extending this out with the neighbors, with the property lines. We're still staying within the setbacks, and the construction of the roof over will have minimum impact to the trees, and no trees are being removed. All water runoff will be contained onto the property as well, and we'll reclaim it there.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thank you.
Planning.
No, thank you.
Sabrina.
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Case closed, thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19315, Vincent Russo, 15 Whitney Gate, Smithtown. The location of the property, the south side of Whitney Gate, 486 feet west of Edgewood Avenue. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the total side yard setbacks from 34 feet to 31 feet for a proposed 750 square foot detached garage.
Good evening. Vincent Russo. Last name is R-U-S-S-O. Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, we're applying for a variance for the detached garage we want to build in the backyard, the accessory structure, we would call it, reducing the side yard from 34 feet to 31 feet. Reason being, the main reason why, from what I understand from the town, if I would have built the garage further back from the house, we wouldn't have to apply for the variance. But there's a forest in my backyard, so I didn't want to take the forest down, and I had to apply with the DEC for a permit because I live within the proximities of Nissaquag River. And there's a long-eared bat that's indigenous to my area, and they live in the trees, in the older trees, so there's a lot of, you can see in the forest back there. And also, if I take that forest down, that little forest there sucks up a lot of water in the summer. So if it rains, you can see it like it dips down. So if I were to build a garage there, I would probably be flooded from the lack of the trees sucking up the moisture and the rain. So as far as the variance would not produce an impact on the adjacent properties of the neighborhood, simply because the accessory structure is set back far enough in my property that the existing residence, my house, blocks the view from the street or from around. And as you can see, there's 30-foot arborvitaes on each side of my yard, so no one really could see it. The request is not substantial because there's plenty of existing trees and vegetation, just like I had said, bordering my property. The benefit cannot be achieved by an alternative because the area location of the structure will be located with no large trees removed. I just wrote my notes down, even though I just told them to you. The variance would not cause an adverse effect on the environment because there will be no dirt, soil removed from the site. It will be redistributed and no large trees to be uprooted. The difficulty was not created by the applicant or a former owner because the applicant is being sensitive to the environment and being responsible for the landscape. So I think that's about it as far as covering those 5 questions.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions? Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Case closed, thank you.
Thanks for your consideration.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19317, Davies, Collinor, Cochuni, 220 Woodlawn Avenue, St. James. The location of the property, the south side of Woodlawn Avenue, 100 feet east of Hobson Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 34 feet for proposed 293 square foot rear sunroom addition and proposed 631 square foot rear deck, to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 2 feet for an existing 49 square foot shed, to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the front yard from 25% to 32% for an existing asphalt driveway.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Davis, owner of 220 Woodlawn Avenue. I would like Esteban Lopez to speak behalf of me.
Need any spelling there? Just spell your last name, please.
Davis,
Oh, on the applicant? The applicant?
yes.
Okay, okay, just speak
Yeah.
on behalf. Just read your name and address for the record, and then spell your last name, too.
Esteban Lopez, Lopez, 210 South Haven Avenue, Medford, New York.
Good.
Hello, board members. My name is Esteban Lopez, agent for the owner of 220 Woodland Avenue. We're here seeking relief for 4 items. One is an existing driveway that predates ownership. Driveway is currently 32% paved surface.
A little slower.
Oh, okay. 32% paved surface, max allowed 25%. We are also looking for relief on an existing 49 square foot shed, 7'8" in height, located in the side yard, 2'3" from property line. This also predates ownership. We are also looking for relief on a proposed 631 square feet deck at 4'6" height, located in the rear yard, 34 feet from rear property line, allowed 50 feet. Our application also requests relief for a proposed 239 square feet sunroom located in the rear yard adjacent to the proposed deck. 35 feet setback, allowed 50 feet. The house is actually located 50 feet from rear property line, so any structure located in the rear yard would need a variance regardless. Our initial application was only for the 2 proposed items, and the existing driveway and shed predates my client's ownership, and that also came up in the application. We don't believe the proposed changes will negatively impact the character of the neighborhood, as most houses in the vicinity have similar setback issues, and based on aerial maps, there are various structures in the rear that don't meet the 50-foot setback. We hope the board takes this into consideration, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions? I believe we did receive a letter to make part of the record. Just, I guess it's from one of the neighbors. I don't need to read that in, right? We just submit that as part of the record?
Give me 1 sec.
Is it for or against
They were in opposition.
on any item in particular?
Just the rear yard setback.
Okay.
I have a copy of it in my packet. Oh, the email? Let's see.
How's the backyard, like old trees there now, bushes?
Just speak up a little.
Oh, the backyard, there are trees and bushes in the back now that separate the 2 neighbors?
Yeah, close to the fence, yeah. It is a non-conforming lot, so anything on the back will need a variance, so, you know, regardless of the size.
Planning, you have anything?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Case closed.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19319, Brandon Klein, 31 Cameo Road, Comac. The location of the property, the north side of Cameo Road, 40 feet north of Golden Ridge Court. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 39 feet, to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 11 feet, to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 49 feet for a proposed 1,138 square foot second floor addition, to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the side yard from 25% to 62% for existing over paving.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Brandon Klein, K-L-E-I-N. We're requesting variance for the 4 items mentioned for a dormer and remodel of our house. To start with the 4th item, the permitted paved surface on the side yard from 25% to 62% was existing prior to purchase of the house. We see no disturbance to the community or the neighbors for that side yard. Currently, it's mostly used for a basketball hoop for my 6-year-old active son. As far as the front yard from 40 to 39, side yard from 12 to 11, and rear yard from 50 to 49, that conforms with the existing structure of the ranch house that is 1 foot over the zoning requirements on each side, so it's pre-existing non-conformant. The structure would be to add the 2nd floor, keep the same number of 3 bedrooms to the house. For the questions, it conforms with the existing structure of the property. It does not produce any hazards or nuisances, maintains the character of the area and does not cause any obstructions, changes to traffic flow, drainage, or views. It does not impact any public safety, neighboring properties, or character of the community. There were no feasible design modifications for increased space while still complying with zoning regulations and staying with the pre-existing structure. The variance request only affects the existing structure, and the proposed change does not involve any land disturbance, tree removal, or changes to drainage patterns. And again, the lot was pre-existing and non-conforming for the existing zoning regulations.
Okay, thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions? Planning,
No, thank you.
Sabrina.
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Case is closed, thank you.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19320, Sean Michaels, 178 Old Willets Path, Smithtown. The location of the property, the west side of Old Willets Path, 390 feet north of Mowbray Lane. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 24 feet to 6 feet, to reduce the total side yard setbacks from 60 feet to 27 feet, to increase the maximum height of an accessory structure from 15 feet to 20 feet for a proposed 1,008 square foot detached garage.
Evening.
How you doing? Sean Michaels, M-I-C-H-E-L-S. Ralph Michelle is going to speak on my behalf tonight. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Ralph Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, Office 255 West Main Street, Smithtown. So with this property, it's a bit of a quirk with the zoning regulations. It looks like it's in the rear yard, but because the rear yard setback is considered the last 100 feet, this falls from that 100 feet to behind the house. I know there's been in the past to kind of change that ordinance, but for right now, this is the case. So it's in the side yard, even though it's behind the house. So the reason for the height is there's very minimal storage on the upper attic area. You can't stand in it. It's an 8-foot garage door. So that way he can fit his pickup truck in there. And then also it's a large property, so he's going to have his lawnmower in there as well to mow the entire back half. This used to be a horse property. So you can see from the section on the top right that the collar tie comes across there. I wouldn't even be able to stand, let alone, Sean to get in there. There will be a staircase up just so you're going to be putting in all your decorations from Christmases and other holiday stuff. And the depth is, again, so his pickup truck can fit in the front, and then the yard maintenance stuff, and they do a lot of property stuff and maintaining the property themselves, so all the yard equipment will be in the back.
One thing I noticed is an existing structure that's there right now. This will actually be further from the property line than
Correct.
the existing structure.
Right. So because it was a horse property, this was the barn. So you'll see on the survey, the existing barn is 3.6 feet away from the property line. That's going to be removed, and we're going to be 6.3 feet away from the property line. So that way, the asphalt driveway, it kind of aligns. So when you come in the driveway, you can come in and then past the asphalt, and there'll be gravel getting to the driveway. I'm sorry, to the garage. So that's why it's where it is, and we didn't put it further in the middle because you've got the other barn there already, and be able to get the equipment and stuff into the backyard if they're going to be mowing or whatever, or they want to clean up, get the pickup to get the leaves and stuff out. If I put it any closer to the barn, you can't, it's tough to get your pickup in the back and clean up.
One other thing I would note for the record that I didn't notice this afternoon is that the way this gable end is set up, the low part of the roof is closest to the property line.
Right.
And the peak is actually close to 25 feet from the property line?
Right, so that would be the 12 feet, so 18.3 feet from the property line would be where the ridge is for the new barn, for the new garage.
Okay, and is there any way, do you need it that height for storage, or is there any way it can be lowered?
So we're gonna put an 8-foot high door instead of a 7-foot high door, which is why it's a foot taller than what it would typically be 19. But there is just a bit of storage on the upper level, and that height is, basically, you have a 10-foot 10 plate height. And then that would basically give you at about 11-foot 10 to the top of the ceiling joist. So you're really left with about 4 feet of space to the collar tie.
Okay.
So there's not much. There is a staircase going up there just for ease of, instead of putting an attic stair, just for ease of getting things up. But there's no possibility for habitable space up there at all.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thank you.
Planning.
I would just mention 2 things to the board. First, obviously, is the height. You had this discussion with a previous application that was on the agenda tonight. And the setback from the side property line is a substantial reduction of what's required. And it appears, based on the size of the property, there might be options to increase that setback.
Okay. Is it possible to shift it a little bit to the, I guess that would be, well, off the property line, because I don't see the, yeah, you can. Just speak into the mic, though, so we get it on the record.
We were proposing to put the garage, there's an existing building which has a CO, and there's gonna be a path between. So if we shift that garage over anymore, I'm not gonna be able to get any kind of vehicles in the back. I like to do a lot of gardening, so getting topsoil back there, that kind of thing, is gonna be very difficult to get anything back and clear out brush and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board have any questions? No? Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one? Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19321, Thomas and Julia Hughes, 293 Bow Drive, Hauppauge. The location of the property, the south side of Bow Drive, 210 feet east of Newton Road. The property is owned R15. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 60 feet to 51 feet, to permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth of groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet, for a proposed 337 square foot first floor rear sunroom addition, and a proposed 285 square foot first floor side addition.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thomas Hughes, last name Hughes, live at 293 Bow Drive, Hauppauge, New York.
Tell us why you're here.
Here for a variance in regards to the 2 additions that I want to add. The one to the side is not there. All the surrounding houses in the neighborhood have that side addition. I just recently bought the house. Nothing was ever done to it. It's original from, I believe, 1968. So we just, with the kitchen, and it's a galley kitchen, is very small with the eat-in table that's there. It's very narrow for us. So we'd just like to add a little more room. We would like to add a pantry and a mudroom for backyard for when we grow our family. To put a door right there for the kids to play in the back instead of walking through that sunroom that's there. The sunroom that's off the back of the house, that was there when I bought the house. It's a metal sunroom. We, in plans to make it just an extended living room. The shelter's all metal, so it's hard to sit and stay in there in the winter, and when it rains, it's noisy, cold. So we plan to extend the living room and add off to the side to make our kitchen bigger. We aren't taking any trees down or anything. As you can see with the sunroom in the back, it's already on a slab. So we're just gonna make that an actual room And then for the kitchen bump out on the side, it's just grass that's there, and we just have to remove the fence. Won't really impact anything with the neighbors. All the neighbors are friendly. Every house in the area that's similar to mine have that same bump out. It's going to add property value to everyone that's around me.
Anyone on the board like to be heard?
No, thank you.
No? Planning?
No, thank you.
Sabrina?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this one? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Case closed. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 19314. Vincent Lotito, 20 Galahad Lane, Nesconset. The location of the property is the east side of Galahad Lane, 100 feet south of Prince Charming Road. The property is zoned R15. The applicant is requesting a special exception to permit temporary living quarters for a child.
Good evening.
How you doing? It's Michael Arado, Office of 535 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York, 11747.
And we have a power of attorney already.
Okay. It's A-R-A-T-O. Got it. All right, so we're here today requesting the board approval to allow for a temporary living quarter for immediate family use and a garage conversion to habitable space. So the space is approximately 447 square feet, which is under the allowable 600 square foot max. It's going to consist of one bedroom, one three-piece bathroom, combined kitchen, living room area. The driveway is more than capable of handling 4 cars, so there won't be any issues with off-street parking. The garage conversion meets the required setbacks. The use is for Vincent Lotito's daughter, Vanessa, to live in this space. Her daughter had moved away, went to college, and then unfortunately had to return home. They weren't planning on her moving back, so they created a space for her to live. So currently she's unable to afford a place on her own, so they made space for her to live back home. And the daughter does have some issues where she needs to be, have her own space. So he's accommodating for her by creating this space. We feel that if this application is approved, it will not have a negative impact on the property or the surrounding properties. The owners have no intentions of ever using this space for anyone other than immediate family. And when the time comes, they no longer need this space. They will revert it back to, obviously, a single-family home. Thank you for your time and hearing the application. If anybody has any questions.
Okay. Any questions on the board?
No.
Obviously, this is a special exception, and they meet all the criteria, so this is one of those ones that this board must approve. Blaze, you want to go through it, or did they already get a copy?
We provided everybody with a copy of the planning advisory report. We reviewed all of the submitted documentation. Based on that and the requirements under the code, we recommended approval.
All right, thank you. Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none. Oh, actually, Secra, I think we have something.
Yes. As noted by the building department, the current application to enlarge the existing single-family dwelling for a special exception does require approval from the Department of Health. We need that information in order to complete our environmental review. We have notified the applicant's representative, so until we need that information before we can make a recommendation, so no decision can be made tonight.
Yep.
Okay, so as long as they get that, then we can.
Okay.
All right. So there'll be no action tonight. We just have to wait to get
Board
DPW's
approval.
recommendation.
You got it.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, case closed. Thank you. This is the one you had to,
Yeah,
you had to check the receipts?
we did,
You're all good to go?
as far as I.
Okay.
Hopefully it's where? Get it?
What exactly is going on here?
Oh, excuse me. Had a bit of an insect issue. Oh, I'm sorry. The next case on the agenda is case number 19316, Luann Jacobs, 11 King Street, Kings Park. The location of the property, the east side of King Street, 109 feet north of Pulaski Road. The property is owned R10. The applicant is requesting a special exception to permit temporary living quarters for a child, a variance to increase the maximum gross floor area of the lot from 30% to 37%, to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 7 feet, to reduce the total side yard setbacks from 28 feet to 19 feet, to reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 25 feet for a proposed 600-square-foot rear addition.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Norman Locke, LOK.
Do you have a PAR? You have a power of attorney? They're here? Okay,
they're here.
you can come on up.
Luann Jacob, JACOB.
All right, and would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Thank you. Just name and address and spell your last name.
Norman Locke, LOK, 707 Broad Hollow Road, Farmingdale, 11735. We are seeking relief for required side yards on the subject property due to a special exception to permit for living quarters. The parent is in need of her daughter to be at home for medical care. The subject secondary residence is under the 600 square feet, as in the rear of the house. Should be noted that the property is substandard, the lot is substandard as per R10 with Smithtown. The required normal lot area is 10,000 square feet. The subject lot is approximately 5,800 square feet. And because the addition is in the rear property, it is not, there's no undesirable change produced. And the requested variance for gross floor area, which now would be 36% and required is 30%, this is not significant. It is a 20% overage. And again, if this lot was a standard lot, this would not be an issue. And lastly, the Suffolk County Health Department for the septic application is in process.
Anyone on the board like to be heard on this application? No. Planning?
So, planning prepared a planning advisory report. All of you have received a copy of it. Probably warrants a little explanation. So in reviewing this application, we took a look at the surrounding area. We looked at the immediate neighborhood. We also looked at some of the other streets to the east and north and south and west. Based on our review, we did find that there are other substandard lots within the area, less than 10,000 square feet required in the R10 zoning district. We did find that there were houses, in fact, that did have non-conforming setbacks for front, side, and rear yards. This particular house was constructed with non-conforming side yard setbacks. So the addition that they're proposing actually would be in line with the existing setbacks of the house. What they are asking for is the reduction in the rear yard. There are a number of homes, if you look at an aerial of the surrounding area, say, 500 to 1,000 feet away from the property, you'll find that there are houses that have very shallow front yard setbacks, as little as 10 feet. You'll find that there are houses that are set back practically on their rear lot line. So the 25-foot setback to the rear isn't out of the character of the area, and based on the review of the subject site and the surrounding area, and based on the request that they were making, we recommended approval.
Okay, thank you. Sabrina?
Yes, as Mr. Locke has stated, this does need Department of Health approval. When you receive your receipt, if you could please send it to our department so we can proceed with our review, that would be great.
Will do.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard? They'll come up to the podium, and then you'll have an opportunity to come back.
Lisa McDermott, McDermott. The property that this home is in proximity to is my family home. And with this 600-foot addition, it is right in my mother's kitchen. I mean, we share a very common space. This was a subdivision of my grandfather's house, built in '32. My grandfather built this house for my aunt, and they have subsequently sold it. They are lovely neighbors, and we have provided on their property where their downstairs apartment is, they put a fence line where we allowed for the easement to make it easier for them to go through. But this is unacceptable. And a few things that I would like to just say. First of all, we had no notice, but at 4:20 today when I looked this up, I don't think that that was fair. We had no idea that this was in the mix. Secondarily, for where this building would come out, it is right outside my mother's kitchen where she has a little deck that she sits. And as far as light or air, I mean, it would be totally obstructed. I don't know if this is for a hardship application, but I think you have to consider my mother as well. That is her property line, and we are very, very close. This is definitely, I would say, devaluing our property. I would hope that you would reconsider on this. This is definitely not fair for our family line. When you look at where it is and where my mother's house is, may I point to show you exactly what I'm speaking about?
Oh, yeah, you want to bring, Matt, you want to bring up the site plan? I think we see it. It's on the site plan.
I just want to show. Yeah. Can you go back to the picture of the over where the, I think it's like a Google map?
See the blue box?
So, yes. So my mother's property, like you were saying, is to the back of the property. And we haven't done anything so that they have a beautiful sight line. And this is where my mother lives. And this is my mother's sight line. So this is going to be blocked off by 600 feet. I mean, this is her little deck, and I just feel like this is just way too much to consider. I know that they have, I know it's a smaller house, but it's almost like you know what you got when you got it. And now this is my mother's, her end of her life. I don't think that that's fair, that she has to be put up with construction. And once this is built, she'll have no air, no light. I'm really against this, and I'm not against them. They are lovely, lovely neighbors, but everybody has to be taken into consideration.
Okay.
Is there anything else I'm missing? Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
Anyone have questions for? I don't think so. Anyone, did you want to speak also?
No, I mean,
If you're going to speak, we just need your name
Just
and
do it.
address.
John Ferreira, Lisa's husband. I mean, the only, again, objection would be the proximity to the home, because the photograph shows it closer than the actual plans do. But you have to, again, we're talking about the distance would probably be maybe from that table to here, you know, depending on how close they need to get to that fence line. And again, It's already, the fence has already been on my mother-in-law's property line to allow for them to access the back entrance, or I don't know if it's an apartment, but regardless, the thing is, it's like, as much as I would appreciate understanding, being a cancer patient myself, I understand what, assuming that's the illness, forgive me for making the assumption, but I understand the need to have, home care. But there must be an other alternative to that home. They have multiple bedrooms, and again, it wouldn't be fair to my mother-in-law and her enjoyment of her property in her final years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Locke, you want to just come back and address their concerns, please?
With regard to the addition, it's the existing house in that portion is 12.1 feet from the north property line, and we are not creating any new non-conformance. It's matching the existing house on that north property line. I do not know how tall that vinyl fence is that separates the, I'm assuming it's a 6-foot fence. It's a 6-foot fence, so, and this is a, the addition is a 1-story. So I do not believe sightlines will be affected.
Do we have a elevation?
Be in this report, one of these things?
No, it'll be in this, there it is, it's here.
Along the same lines, the height of the addition is not higher than the existing house. If anything, it's, the ridge is a foot lower.
Okay, we'll take everything into consideration. And you know that there's no, no, you can only speak once. There's no action tonight, we're still waiting on secret.
Understood.
Thank you. Okay, entertain a motion to close the case?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, case closed.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 19322, Long Island Labs, 275 Oser Avenue, Hauppauge. The location of the property is the south side of Oser Avenue, 490 feet west of Adams Avenue. The property is zoned LI. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 20 feet for a proposed 34-square-foot wall sign.
Good evening, Nicholas Nagel, N-A-G-L-E, and I'm representing the owner of the property, who's right here.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Paul Pazevich. That's P like Peter, I-S-I-E-W-I-C-Z. And I would like for Nick to speak on my behalf.
Thank you.
We are looking to raise the letters 5 feet higher than what's allowed due to the building height and the glass being directly under it with a 30-inch kick-in. So right where we're starting at is basically where it kicks out. We feel like it doesn't affect the environment being raised only 5 feet higher than allowed. It's non-illuminated, and it's only half-inch letters being adhered to glass. the community shouldn't really have an issue with it. We're staying within the square feet allowed. It's not overbearing, and we just need to fit the building where it seems to be where it fits best. So that's where we're at right now, and if we want to put on the glass lower, we feel like it really wouldn't work as well as where it is now.
Anyone on the board like to be heard on this application?
No.
Planning.
No, thank you.
Sabrina.
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this one? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Case closed.
Thank you.
And that's it, right? That's it for our public meetings for tonight. All right, on decisions, case 19310, Vincent Sirocco.
No action.
Oh, it's pending, sorry, no action. Thank you, Adrian. Case 19312, Ramsey and Murray Kamel.
On case 19312, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0. Good night.
Good night.
Case 19313, Shelby Cook.
On case 19313, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Case 19315, Vincent Russo.
Case 19315, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Case 19317, Davies Colunar Kachuni.
Case 19317, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Case 19319, Brandon Klein.
On case 19319, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Case 19320, Sean Michaels.
Okay, on case 19320, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Wait a minute. Sorry.
You want to have some discussion about?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we should have some discussion
You
at
wanna
least
do
on
that?
this. Yeah, well, this is the one that, can you pull the survey out, John? Because I want to see if there is any room.
Getting it up on the screen.
I don't see it.
So there is room to shift it somewhat, I guess that would be south.
I think they could move it to the west and the south, and they could increase the side yard setback. I'm not saying they have to exactly meet the setback, but they could certainly increase it.
Yeah. So it looks like that.
Can you bring up the aerial?
So the barn is about 46, the existing barn that's remaining is about 46 feet from the property line.
And if you can zoom into, yeah, okay, so here we go.
Let's take a look.
His thing was he didn't want to move it
Back because of
back
the forest.
because there's another structure there. No. Isn't this the one with
Well, they
the-
didn't want to leave it in the location
one
that
with
it's
the
in and
barn.
slide it south, because then it would have been right behind the other one. But
Correct.
he's got a really big open area to the west. They said it used to be a horse property, so obviously that was the paddock. But I don't believe there are any horses on the property now. So they have the ability to slide the proposed garage to the west and south so that they could move it further away from that north property line.
Would that change the driveway?
Well, I don't see the need to move it to the west because you could just move it directly south. If the existing barn is 46 feet from the property line, and that one
Right.
is what, 24 feet wide?
So you could move
That
it,
structure's coming down, right?
right,
Yes.
right. You know, I know he had concerns about getting material on the property, but if they slid the garage over, they would have enough room between the garage and the property line where they could move material further back into the rear yard.
Yeah, and I'm sympathetic to this one because the gable is reversed, so that the low end of the garage is closest to the property line. So it is different than a lot of the ones that we see where the height really impacts the neighbor. But I do agree there is room to move it, but I don't see a need to move it that far. You know, if we gave them, say, a 12-foot, so what are they asking, to go to 6?
Yeah.
So if we went to 12, that means that that ridge is 25 feet off the property line. Anyone else have any thoughts, or? And that still gives them room to access it through the driveway,
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
and it gives them 46 minus 12 and 36, so it still gives them 10 feet between, and if it is gonna impact their ability to put stuff in the backyard, they could always slide it to the west, because we're not approving anything with the rear yard, there's no variance being sought, so if
Right.
they wanted to shift it to the west, they could.
They could.
Are you leaving it at 20 feet?
He made it sound like that was the minimum that it would work for his storage, 4 feet.
Seemed like a pretty steep pitch, though, for a building like that.
Yeah, I don't know. What is it, so you can zoom in on that pitch right there?
I can't now read that. Yeah.
Right there to the right. Think it up,
No. Right
up. If you go up and see above that, right there. Is it an 8?
there. I can't see that.
Yeah, it's an 8.
Well, this is your area, so
Well,
what
they
would
could
you
make it a
think?
6 on 12, and it's still similar. That would save them.
And how much
That
would
would
it-
save them 2 feet in height.
Oh, okay. 18, it brings you into the 18-foot height zone.
Yeah, and which is typically what we approve.
Yeah.
So you were going from 15 to 18. I'll have to read it. Now, the total side yard from 60 to 24, that's going to change also, right?
So I think Tony was recommending 12 feet.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
So what is it changing from?
So it would go from 24 to 12 feet only.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Well, oh, the total side yards.
Total side yard.
So they're picking up 6 feet, so it would go to 33 feet.
33, okay. Okay, so I'm going to amend this, okay? Okay, on case 19320, variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 24 feet to 12 feet. Reduce total side yard setback from 60 feet to 33 feet. Increase the maximum height of an accessory structure from 15 feet to 18 feet for a proposed 1,008 square foot detached garage.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. It's 19321, Thomas and Julia Hughes.
Okay. On case 19321, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, case 19314, Vincent Lotito, no action. Case 19316, no action. All right, 19322, Long Island Labs.
On case 19322, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Think they make dogs there?
I don't know.
So we have a Couple on the back now, right?
Yeah.
So case 19157, you want to give us the background there, Blaze?
Sure. So the board heard this case going back several months ago. It was a proposal to do several additions to an existing house. They were asking for side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, and the board conditionally approved it and modified the setbacks that they were asking for. And after the board made the decision, the applicant and their contractor came to the office to see me and said, you know, can we go back before the board if we make some modifications and ask, you know, if we can get their consideration on that? And I said, of course you can. And they had sent a letter asking for a rehearing, which the board accepted based on the modifications they were going to make. At that time, we didn't grant a hearing date because that was around the time that Ed Benz wound up getting ill, and we were only 4 instead of 5. After they were granted that rehearing, the applicant came to see me and basically said that they weren't going to go forward with the rehearing. They were going to adhere to the conditions of approval from their BZA case. So I have asked them for a letter of withdrawal. I haven't received one. I don't think it requires any denial. I think it just, you know, if all of you vote unanimously to remove it from the back of the agenda, we can.
Okay. So we need a motion to basically just close the case.
Yeah.
All right. On case 19157, I'll make a motion to close the case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, case is closed. Case 19270, Eddie and Pilar Morocco. That was the one with the paving.
Yes, paving in the front and side yard.
If you guys recall, this is right on Hopog Road. It was the
Yes.
one where the neighbors were concerned that there were,
Yeah, this is on Route 111. The neighbor to the north had concerns about the amount of paving and the number of vehicles that were being parked on the driveway. They also made a few other comments about how the house was being utilized, and the board had concerns about that and asked us to reach out to public safety to see if there were any complaints or there was anything outstanding. And I recently spoke with someone from public safety. There are no actual complaints for this property with these owners on file, and they have nothing pending against them. So at this point, we're just really holding them up from getting their approval.
okay. And then we did discuss at planning today that we could put a reasonable condition on here, basically stating that, you know, the approval is conditioned upon the fact that there are no business uses on the site and that no business vehicles.
No commercial
No
vehicles.
commercial vehicles
Yeah.
be parked at the site.
Yeah.
Was John, did you look and see if John was here for this?
Can tell you in one.
This one?
Yeah.
I don't believe I was here for this.
So, let's see. What was the first date you were here? The 11th,
Yeah.
right? April.
So I was here.
Yeah, so it was definitely before that.
They were heard on March 25th.
Yeah. Okay, so it would just be the 4 of us would vote on this one. So, do you want to make a motion, Adrian?
Sure. Okay, on case 19270, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented with the condition that no business vehicles are permitted on the property.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay, now we have 19300. Do you want to give them the backstory here, Blaze?
Sure. This was just recently heard by the board. I believe Gay was here for that, not John. This is a home that's on Old Comac Road in Kings Park. It's adjacent to the Sunken Meadow Parkway It's in R43 zoning, however, the property is only about 10,000 square feet. They are looking to put additions on the house, and because of the shape of the property and the size of the property, they're asking for what appears to be some substantial setbacks. I think everybody went to go look at this house. So, you know, what is everybody's opinion on it?
Well, I went looking at it twice. I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, right across the street is the state property.
Yeah, I was kind of the same mindset. I looked at it, while the front yard setback is substantial, it is kind of a small house. It is definitely a unique lot.
Yeah.
There's no way they can expand the house without getting variances. It's
Right.
just basically impossible.
So, Bill, did you have any issues with it?
No, that's it.
Adrian, you want to make a motion then?
Sure. On case 19300, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
This is 4-0. Approved, motion carries. Case 19307, Dark Horse Holding Services LLC.
This was heard at the last meeting. This is the proposed animal hospital on Mount Pleasant Road, directly north of Insignia, right across the street from Starbucks. They met all of the special exception requirements. The only reason the board did not vote on it the last time was that we had not received Suffolk County Planning's determination,
Right.
which we received 3 days later.
And the comments from,
Local
you read them into the
determination.
record already?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to make a motion?
Sure. Case 19307, I'll make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, in your packet, I believe there is a request for an extension from Lisa Chupka. Anyone have a problem with that?
No, I don't.
All right, so we need a motion.
I'll make a motion on case 19026 that we approve the I guess it's a 1-year extension.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. They get 1 more year. And I believe that is it. Any litigation? No. Nothing.
Is that 5?